but that was, so it thought I was basically on and over and straddling the line, so it freaked out. So I didn't know that sunlight could do that to Autopilot, but there you go. So just something to, it's got to be such a freak example of that I can't imagine most or hardly any of you would ever run into something like that, but just word to the wise, I guess. But we got up to Napa. It was a great drive. Had lunch at this place I'd been wanting to go to for a while, and it was cool. I got a really good street parking spot with nobody ahead of me, nobody behind me, just like between these two business driveways, just plenty of room, and it was cool. I saw right when I got out, there was a couple that stopped and were checking the car out and asked me, "Oh, can we take a picture?" And I went, "Sure, go ahead." And I saw, as we were kind of walking away and walking around, I saw other people checking the car out in a very like enthusiastic, happy way. They really seemed to enjoy it. That it just made me happy. Again, it totally reminded me of my DeLorean days, because that stuff happened and happens all the time if you have a DeLorean, where because it's such a rare car and it's so recognizable from Back to the Future, of course. But it just rekindled a lot of great memories of having that happen again in this new car, in the Model 3. In fact, at one point on the way back, I traded thumbs ups with a boy who had to be maybe like 8-9 years old, because his family's car passed me by on the right lane, and so I could see him out of the corner of my eye, because his backseat window was all the way down, and he was like hanging out of the car. He was just checking out the Model 3, very not particularly subtly as kids do. And so I looked at him and I just gave him a thumbs up, and he gave me a thumbs up back, and it just, again, it's just joyous. That's really what it is. That it's just super joyous. And I those of you who already own Teslas know what I'm talking about, and those of you who have yours coming still, you're gonna experience it, and it's gonna be fantastic. So that was that little adventure. And then the next day, last Sunday, I took the car to, let's just say, an undisclosed location that I knew well, that would be safe to do some 0 to 60 runs. And the reason I wanted to do that is because, as I think I mentioned 2 or 3 shows back, I bought a Draggy, it's a little GPS that connects to your phone, the phone's GPS, and this thing, and it's a performance measurement tool. And it's apparently reasonably accurate. It's even got built-in leaderboards, so you can see me on there. My username's Ride the Lightning, all one word. And yes, it was a flat spot. It was just like basically the perfect little spot to do this. And so I did a few 0 to 60 runs. First one I did was 3.5 seconds, 3.50. So just dead on, exactly what Tesla advertises. Did a couple more that were right there, and then the best one, I think my second or third one, was 3.49. And it was totally flat ground. The Draggy knows that. It measures elevation, so it'll tell you if it's an uphill slope a little bit or a downhill. And this was 0.0, totally flat. So that was super fun. And I'll tell you this, if you're wanting to get one for yourself, just another word to the wise. 2 things. One, putting your headrest, or putting your head up against the headrest, actually, for me, I thought it kind of intensified the feel of the acceleration, even though, when you're doing that, your head's not getting whipped back because you've already got it right there. But I think it's because you can basically feel your head being pressed into the seat along with the rest of your body. So it was that was a fun, added to the roller coaster like sensation. And then the other tip I'll pass along is, in the instructions, it says ideally they want you to mount the Draggy in the car somewhere. And it turns out there's a good reason for that. I was like, well, I don't want to mount this thing. I'm not going to use it all the time. There's a good reason for that, though. I put it on the dashboard and nailed the accelerator, and the Draggy went flying into the back seat. But it still worked. So there you go. So just a word to the wise on that. And then the one other experience I wanted to tell you about before I get to the news, and by the way, I'm open to your feedback here. I'm excited to sort of share these experiences with you. If you'd rather I do them at the end of the show and just get to the news first, I'm very open to that, but for now, I'll just try it this way, and I'll wait for feedback. Anyway, right now, I'm in the middle of my first experience with Tesla service. What happened was, I happened to notice I was taking something out of my trunk last week, or maybe very beginning of the week, maybe it was. It was after I recorded the last show, I think, and I found there was a little, maybe an inch or less hairline crack in the taillight housing, on the right taillight, just in the housing itself. So I thought, okay, well, that's clearly just some sort of defect. I mean, whatever. I made a service appointment right online through my the My Tesla page. Nice and easy. Couldn't have been easier. I got an email from someone at the service center saying, "Hey, could you send us a picture?" So, no problem. Here you go. And I just was thinking, great, this is going to get totally taken care of. No problem. To my unpleasant surprise, I received an email back that said, from taking a look at your picture, we can see what appears to be paint damage near this, and thus there was an impact here, and so we're not going to take care of this under warranty. If you want to purchase the taillight housing, you can do that. If you want to make an insurance claim, you can do that. And it's just, I was really taken aback by this, because this is a brand new car. This is my first service experience, and I wrote back and I said basically exactly that in a very respectful and courteous way, and just explained that I was like, well, no, there's paint protection film there, and you're seeing either the edge of the film, or there's like, I think there's like a little bubble there that I got a follow-up appointment coming up with the detailer to take care of those. He has a way of taking care of those, and so I explained that, and then the reply I got to that was a little disheartening. They said, okay, well, we'll make a one-time goodwill exception and replace this under warranty. And it was just like, well, hold on. I didn't say, this is just my inner monologue now. It's like, hold on. Yes, you should take care of it under warranty, but you're not doing this. You're not doing me a favor. This is a defect in the car. So, if it's either just some sort of defect in the housing itself, or that particular part maybe, or it's possible something at the factory could have bumped into it. I mean, I sent a note to Jeff, the detailer, and I said, listen, just be honest, did this happen? Did anything happen at your shop? And I completely believe him 100%. No, nothing happened at the shop. And so, yeah, I was just kind of disappointed at how Tesla handled that, and I wrote back and just said, well, I appreciate you taking care of it, and I really like you guys here on this thread. There were actually a few Tesla folks on the thread to take a look at this when the car's there, in addition to just the service technician. I'd like you all to see this in person. So when I dropped the car off today, I ended up having to leave it because I'm also having two other things came up. Well, one, I had put a note. I may have mentioned this to you guys in my delivery show. My right headlight, there's quite an overhang on it from the bottom of the headlight over the fascia, whereas the left headlight is pretty flush all around. So I had mentioned it at delivery. They had told me there's nothing they could do about it there, but if I wanted to bring it up at a service appointment, I could do that. So I thought, okay, well, why don't I do that and see if there's an adjustment that can be made? And sure enough, the service tech today said, yeah, I think we can take care of that for you. So that was good. He seemed confident. And then the other thing, I ended up having to leave it. I'd been hearing a sound as the car was moving the last couple days, and I thought, well, hopefully this is just a rock wedged in the tread. No, it was a nail, huge nail. So I'm waiting to hear as I record this whether or not it's going to be pluggable. It is right in like the center of the tread, so it's not on the sidewall, so that's a good sign. Also, I didn't lose any air, so that seems like a good sign as well. So car's there, and because I'm in Seattle tomorrow, I won't be able to pick it up till Saturday morning rather. So I'll let you know how this service appointment ends up turning out. I will say, when I got there, they treated me great. They were awesome, but yeah, I was a little disappointed I didn't get to kind of further resolve the taillight housing thing. I'm a little disappointed because I feel like if you're doubting that it's a warrantyable claim, which I get that Tesla has to guard against false claims, totally get that, but it was just an iPhone picture I feel like they could have handled that a lot better. They could have said, listen, we can't guarantee that this is, that we can replace this under warranty. We'll need to take a look at it in person to check the whole area and verify. I would have accepted that. But yeah, for them to just jump straight to, hey, we're not going to pay for this. We're not going to replace this. You're going to have to pay for it. I'm a brand new customer. The car's brand new. I feel I was a little disappointed that they didn't give me the benefit of the doubt on that. So I'll let you know how it goes. Anyway, let me move on here with a quick correction from last week. I got many calls and emails about this, so I'm going to let Corey from Southern California speak for all of you on this, but I do genuinely appreciate the correction. Here's Corey. Take it away.
Hey Ryan, this is Corey from Southern California calling from my Performance Model 3, red with white interior, just like yours. Hey, you were talking about Volkswagen. They had a commercial radio spot talking about promoting electric vehicles. That is most likely due to the lawsuit where they were forced to put out these commercials, install charging stations, and do all this positive EV use. So just want to let you know that it was not because they wanted to, it's because they were forced to because of the Dieselgate conduct that they did. So, alright, that's all I have. Thanks. Love the podcast. Keep doing what you're doing.
So thank you, Corey, and everybody. I learned something this week. I did not know that was part of the Volkswagen Group punishment for Dieselgate. I'm always happy to be corrected because, again, it allows me to learn something new. And by the way, I'll just add, I think that's a really good punishment. And by the way, I think the commercial's good too. If you've seen the video, I think it's a good commercial. All right, let's move on with the news. A judge this week ruling in favor of Tesla in the Ontario lawsuit. Fittingly, by the way, credit here Ontario resident Trevor Page of Model 3 Owners Club, giving me the heads up and getting me all the relevant links for this. So, I want to start by sort of reading you some parts of this decision. So, quote, the decision to exclude, this is from the judge, the decision to exclude Tesla by limiting the transition program to only franchise dealerships is arbitrary and unrelated to the purposes of the statutory or regulatory discretion being exercised. In my view, it is egregious, as that term was used by Dixon J. above, because not only was it made for an improper purpose, but because the minister singled out Tesla for reprobation and harm without providing Tesla any opportunity to be heard or any fair process whatsoever. Remedy. Tesla asks that I set aside the limitations of the transition program to franchise dealers. However, doing that effectively reshapes the transition program and requires the government to fund subsidies to Tesla's customers. I am not prepared to make such an order. The government's counsel argues that the inclusion of only franchise dealerships is part and parcel and inextricably intertwined with the terms implemented to construct the transition program. I agree. If the government wants to transition out of the electric car subsidy program, the minister must exercise his operational discretion in a lawful manner. He has yet to do so. I therefore quash and set aside the minister's unlawful exercises of discretion to implement the transition program announced on July 11th under the blah, blah, blah. So there you go. That is the details there. Again, you have to have listened, I think, to last week's episode to get the background on this. But I'll tell you, as I said last week when I did initially cover this seemed to be a pretty clear-cut case, even to a complete non-lawyer and pro-Tesla fanboy like myself. Because the fact that Tesla was able to use the Ontario government's own words against it to make its own case spoke volumes, I thought, and clearly the judge agreed. If I'm interpreting the judge's decision correctly, now this certainly isn't going to bring the program back, but it does seem like it may allow Model 3 order holders, S and X, I'm saying Model 3 only because S and X are actually too expensive to qualify for this program in the first place, but it seems like it might allow those with Model 3 orders who take delivery by September 10th, which is that transition period that was laid out for everyone else, to hopefully get their rebate. I really, really hope so, because the government, in my humble opinion here, really did its citizens wrong on this one. And that was Tesla's whole point in this case. Their point wasn't, hey, bring this back. It was, hey, it's fine if you're going to eliminate the program, just do so in a way that's fair to all parties involved. So glad to see that victory for Tesla, because at least it will set a legal precedent to hopefully prevent this from happening in the future, at least in Canada. I mean, their laws certainly don't translate here. But anyway, in other Tesla legal news, a seemingly fairly silly lawsuit was in fact thrown out. A group of shareholders had filed suit against Tesla for intentionally misleading them about the Model 3 production ramp. Reuters reports, quote, in a decision made public on Monday, U.S. District Judge Charles Breyer said that while shareholders claimed that Tesla fell short of its production goals, quote, federal securities laws do not punish companies for failing to achieve their targets. The judge also noted that intentionally misleading shareholders would be a problem, but that the plaintiffs were unable to show evidence of that. So, a small part of Tesla's drama with its shareholders, because as we know, most of that drama is with the short sellers, a small part of the shareholder drama comes to a close with this. Elon has talked about production hell. This is what this made me think of, is the production hell. And I wonder what Elon would say as to where they are in that production hell now. Are they up to the first circle, all the way, up and almost out? Are they out? Are they still deeper in that production hell? For some reason, this is like a weird stream of consciousness thing going on with me here, but for some reason that now reminds me of a song lyric by one of my favorite musical artists, by one of my favorite bands, Roger Clyne and the Peacemakers, a wonderful independent Arizona band. If you remember the Refreshments from the 90s, their big hit was Banditos, and their other claim to